everyone, it's Stephanie.
It's Emily.
And today we're going to do another book review on Homesick for Another World by OTTESSA MOSHFEGH. Yep. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I hope so.
So we got this book via Book of the Month.
Mm-hmm.
It was Emily's, what was it, January?
Yeah, my January pick.
Her January
I try to pick like things that are a little bit out there centric.
Yeah, it was another short story.
Collection.
Collection.
Just one short story.
And you guys all know what I think about short stories, so.
Well, if you watched like Interracial Love,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. And yeah. So anyways.
Yep.
And a grown up. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was also, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, we will discuss this today. So our first impression is this one.
Yeah.
This was definitely a book where I was just like really confused. And I had to think a lot about it as well. Mostly just confused. I was just very confused overall.
From what I remember of the story, stories.
Yeah.
I thought they were they were definitely thought provoking in a way I wasn't very used to at all.
Yeah.
Because some of the topics were just like, wait, what? That's a little vulgar, and it was like a weird mix, like a weird potion of details and
that you really didn't need to know ever.
Well, I think that's the way that the author sort of writes, though. Like that's the particular topics that attracts her, or at least she chooses to explore in her writing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think in general it was definitely a thought provoking set of stories. I'd say that the writing here though was pretty decent. I thought like in terms of the way she executed like what she wanted to say, it was like, oh wow, these are all really quotable.
Right.
Not necessarily like meaningful, but they're very quotable. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So before we start our questions, I just want to say, for a short stories book, it wasn't the worst one I have read.
Oh.
So like mainly because like the writing style and the topics were actually ones that like, I mean they were a little vulgar and they were a little like strange and bizarre, but they weren't boring for sure. They were definitely not boring topics. So
go on.
So they're not boring topics, which is why I feel like I actually tolerated a lot more and actually read through this book a lot faster than I typically would have for short stories.
I thought it was weird that you were relatively quiet for your whole duration of reading it, because usually I hear a lot from her when I give her a bad book.
Yeah.
That she doesn't like. She's like,
yeah. Because I'll be like, I hate this book. I'm dying here.
Yeah. For me, I guess we can definitely start off with which short story you like the most in this book, or at least could tolerate the most.
I think you can start with this one because I think you already have an answer for this.
I do. I think it's the short story called The Long and Winding Road. Or no, Mr. Wu.
Yeah,
sorry, that was Mr. Wu. I thought that was my favorite short story of the collection because it just really resonated with me, I guess. Not in terms of like me being Mr. Wu. That would be a little weird, considering that he is...
I give up on those books.
This poor cat. Anyway, I have to save this cat. Sorry. So in terms of Mr. Wu, the story kind of goes into how this Chinese man who frequents internet cafes, and a lot of what goes into it, also enjoys, I guess, the easy way of women during the night, and he finds a bit of romantic interest in the owner of the internet cafe, who's this woman that is a little like average build and has quite a bit of flaws to her, because Mr. Wu is a character who concentrates on all flaws. And so throughout the entire short story, you kind of see how he lives his life, and you feel bad for him for a little while, and then you don't. Because you realize as things go on that he is his own worst enemy when it comes to finding love and like some sort of companionship. And near the end, it really does, like the ending, even though I remember you telling me that it was a little vague. Yeah. It was vague on purpose because you could clearly see like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes complete sense that he made this choice to do things this particular way. So
I wouldn't say there's a story that I particularly like, but there is a story that I particularly did not like.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So it was the one where I'm finding it right now. It was called No Place for Good People.
Okay.
It's the one where it was Paul, and like it's like the guy called Paul, and he has these two, and he's like in this like mentally ill school or whatever like that. People who are like have mental problems. And he's just like an aide there, and he helps them out and whatnot. So one of the people who are in that care is Paul and Claude. Yeah. Okay, so what's the main guy's name? I forget. But it doesn't. I don't think
he doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name.
Yeah,
he's his narrator. So Paul and Claude are the two kids, or they're not even kids. They're old. They're like older.
I think it's an elderly care.
Really? I thought it was like the people who.
Well. Those two things kind of come hand in hand.
Oh,
as,
okay.
You know, as you age, things happen.
No, but I'm pretty sure they were always like that, because it mentioned in the book where it was like they always had like mental problems. So, but these are people who are also just happens to be like elderly as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
what did you not like?
Well, I didn't like the cut. It was racist.
You thought it was racist?
Yeah, because there was the one part that really got to me was the whole like Ching Chang China or whatever. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, I remember that.
Because they were like they were walking past, so like they're trying to go to Hooters, because like the older guys are like, oh, we're gonna go to Hooters, like, you know, the fabulous girls, like the boobs, whatever. And then somehow for some reason it became not Hooters anymore, it was Friendlies, and they were very upset. The two elderly men like mental problems were very upset about the fact that it's Friendlies, and they're like, oh, Friendlies is not as good. And then as they were walking in, an Asian family comes out, and then they're just like Ching Chang China, and I was just like, that was so like uncalled for. You know, there was like, it was out of context, like for me, then I was kind of just like taken aback by it. Like usually if a book is like, you know, has some racial like undertones to it, like I'm like whatever about it because I understand it's a book, but like there needs to be like a reasoning behind it as opposed to just like literally just out of the blue. And then it was just, that was it. That's all she said about it. There was no like follow up to this comment, no like preset to it, nothing. It was just, they walked in and then Asian kind of walked out and then bam. And I was like, really? Did they just say that? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I'm Asian, so now I actually have a right to start to reply to this without too much backlash. But actually, I thought that was, weirdly enough, take this in stride, of course,
okay.
Kind of fitting, because you did say that they were mentally ill.
Yeah.
And I think the context of the story, a reason why like that was even in there, was because I guess in terms of mentally ill patients, especially in how they're written in stories, they're supposed to be uninhibited in a way that like normal people would be like kind of recluse about.
Yeah.
You know, even though a lot of we know in reality, we all have our own prejudices and our own stereotypes, they kind of just unleash it to the world.
It's like they have no filter.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the reason why, like, it wasn't just that sentence, it was the fact that the narrator, who is supposed to be a normal guy helping them, you know, go take them out, he didn't say anything like, oh, you shouldn't say that. He didn't even try to like be like, oh, that was rude, or like try to like tell them why that kind of stuff is unacceptable. He just like left it as is, and as did the narrator and like the author, and I was just like,
okay.
That is my problem with it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, like, yeah, they're inhibited, they have mental problems, I get it. But the fact that the narrator himself, who does not have mental problems, didn't say anything, that's what got me.
Maybe he does. Maybe that's part of the illness.
No.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm saying maybe the reason why the writer, like the author, chose to write the story in that particular fashion is to really show, like, kind of like a mirror to like you, because you're disturbed by the scene, right?
Yeah.
Because it directly impacts you. But there are so many other things, because this author really does try to, like, I guess, focus like her lens on the human condition, writing a lot of like peculiarities or like things that are very like out there and like eclectic, definitely eclectic, and I wouldn't even say I would go as far as like completely like outrageously outlandish, like things about like disgust, like bodily fluids, like these decisions, really bad decisions with prostitutes and etc. Because of the fact, but because that's mostly her focus, I feel like for this particular story, the reason why I could accept that sort of type of writing was because I think the narrator himself was mentally ill in that condition. Not in the way that you'd typically understand mentally ill, as in like, oh, I'm really crazy, I'm like fidgeting, or I'm like whatever. But because he's not that far from being normal, but he's definitely not normal. And perhaps that's the whole point. Maybe the whole point is that when you're like sort of like a passive bystander to someone else saying something like that, like some racist comment, you yourself should like be thinking like, is this okay? And should I speak up? And if I don't speak up, am I really like healthy? Like, you know, because like I think that was kind of like the twist I read that.
Or he's like, that's totally normal.
Yeah, maybe that's totally normal for his guy, like, and that's something.
Like, this is completely like this is a like I should say that like this is acceptable.
Yeah,
so
and
that
I think
might not be another.
But maybe, that's. I feel like that actually shows how good of a writer she actually is because it's so realistic.
I wanted to ask. This is different because I'm asking the question this time. Usually she asks the questions, but which story disturbed you the most out of all of them? Because there were definitely a lot of them all had like these weird, bizarre topics. So which one disturbed you the most?
The Honest Woman.
Yeah, mine was the same thing. I think that was the one
story. Go a little bit into what happened.
Okay. So basically, Honest Woman talks about a guy called Jeb who kind of stalks his neighbor, and not in the sense that he follows her outside or whatever. He kind of just like sits in his house and just overhears what she's doing, and he finds the best location in his house that can let him hear everything she's doing, whether or not she's just cleaning the bathroom, cooking, just reading a book, like walking around. He somehow found a spot in his apartment, in his house, that lets him listen to everything and just kind of like stalk on her and like creep on her, and I thought that was really creepy.
Yeah, I definitely think he's the ultimate eavesdropper.
Yeah.
I forget if he was a peeping Tom too. Was he?
I don't think he was a peeping. He was he just overheard everything, and it was weird because he would have dinner downstairs. Like that's where the location was.
Yeah.
He would like make food, sit down there, and just while he's eating, just overhear her. It was like his like nightly like routine and like entertainment basically, and I thought that was really creepy.
Yeah, I actually had a hard time figuring out if he was just imagining things in his head.
Yeah.
Versus like him actually being able to be supersonic.
Yeah, well the thing is like I don't know how close the houses are.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the houses are super close, like I can understand like if you have a window open and he opens his window too, like there are noises that can travel.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like the houses just also really close to each other and the houses are super small, which is why he hear everything. I don't really know in that context, but not only that, but I feel like the whole like and he had a nephew, right? Was that a nephew?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole issue with his nephew and like the girl and him was just weird. I was like really like kind of like taken aback.
So what exactly happened in terms of your point of view?
So like he has a thing for this girl like next door, obviously. Otherwise he wouldn't be like such a creeper on her. But then he tried to set his nephew up with her and try to be like, hey, it's a girl next door. I think she's single. You should totally try to talk to her. So he kind of basically like encourages his nephew to connect with this girl, and then they even decided to go out or something like that. And then when that happened, something happened and his nephew couldn't make it or something, and then he took it upon himself to be like, well, it's okay, she can come over and drink with me, we'll just wait for my nephew who like will never show up, I won't tell her. And then like it was just really awkward. And like on the girl's side too, like because everything is on this guy's point of view, you don't really see much in terms of what the girl is thinking. But the girl is also really weird because she also mentioned multiple times like, oh, I know what you're trying to do, I know you're trying to get into my pants, but then she didn't do anything about it. She just like sat there, and I'm just like, it was just a really, really bizarre story to me overall. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that you said it disturbed you the most. It didn't bore you though.
No, it didn't. Yeah, it was definitely not boring. Yeah.
And I think that's by the way a really big accomplishment for any author. I wouldn't say I necessarily should always write vulgar and like shocking things, but I think that definitely tells you like in terms of writing, she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say that about my comment about whether or not he was imagining things or it was actually him eavesdropping. I thought like you could take the story both ways, which is also like something I particularly enjoyed. I was like, whoa, okay, this is kind of cool. It's like I can like try to see these things in multiple perspectives and take facts out, and it still works.
Yeah.
I just think your comment about Girl Next Door actually just made it clear to me that this story is like
and it's old too.
Yeah, like it was like a noir version of, you know, the usual teen movie like Girl Next Door. Because you know the guys are always stalking the girls, but then like you just up like some of the age, the weirdness, and like you get this story. And I'm just like,
he's old. He's like he's like pretty old.
Yeah,
and like she's young too, right? She's like
she's relatively young. I'd say that her in action, I felt it was kind of like a parody. Well, in writing, you would call it satire of like you know, usually the girl who like you try to chase after, like she's just like, oh, I don't really want to be with you. That's nothing.
Yeah, and he just sits there, and she like continues to drink with him, and I'm like,
maybe she just likes the attention though, even though it's very bizarre.
It's just very strange. I don't know. So our final thoughts for this book is this still for me.
This plus this for me.
Okay, why?
Because as I told you before, this was still like from the same as before. Yeah. But this like came because I ended up talking about this book with you, and I realized so many other things like layers as to like, whether or not the author intentionally did this because of the way she wrote. That came about just by like talking about it to you and with other people and to you guys, and it just in general gave me a sort of warmer, I guess, like appreciation for a lot of like the topics she brought up, and I was like, okay, well, it's strange, it's weird, but I like it.
But yeah, so anyways, that's it for today. As always, we will include the Goodreads link, our Book of the Month link, in case you want to also subscribe to that as well, and join us as we discuss the books in the future from the subscription service. We will also include the buy links in case you want to buy a hard copy or audiobook. We'll include those as well. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Bye.